In this video, I will be discussing how to conduct business in the United States. If you are coming in from the Czech Republic, and how the two places differ in etiquette and culture. To start off, in the Czech Republic, 95% of the population speak Czech. 3% of the population speaks Slovak, which is closely related to Czech. 2% of the population speak Czech, but are also mother tongue speakers of German, Hungarian, Romani, and Polish. Regardless of the language, it is important that if you're going to do business in America, you learn the basics of communication in English. In Czech society, careful planning in both one's business and personal life, and rules and regulations are very important to the Czech way of life. Czechs are very private people until they get to know you, while Americans more than often can be found to be extremely friendly and skip informalities. Here, people tend to not wait to be introduced and will begin to speak with strangers as they stand in a queue or sit next to each other in an event. As a visitor, like someone from the Czech Republic, it is known that they tend to not acknowledge people to whom they do not know as they walk alongside the street, ride the train, or at an event of some kind. And it can often be a surprise coming into America to find them be so direct and informal and may even seem rude. It's advised for someone coming into the U.S. to do business to be wary of this. Now, on to meeting and greeting. In the U.S., greetings are casual. A handshake, a smile, and a simple hello will suffice. Use first names, and be sure to introduce everyone to each other. This is different from the Czech way, which consists of formal and reserved greetings, a handshake, direct eye contact, and the appropriate greeting for the time of day, followed by many rules. For example, wait to be invited before using someone's first name, or an informal greeting, as these are all signs of friendship. Gender can be applied to the fact that the offer to move to informal is generally offered by the woman, or even the oldest person, or the person of higher status. Unlike Americans, to the Czechs, moving to informal without invitation insults the person and may be viewed as an attempt to humiliate them. So be advised, if you're coming to America for business, try to understand the differences in greetings and not be offended by these actions. Certain cultural etiquettes in the U.S. and the Czech differ in many ways, such as being cautious about giving flowers, since people over the age of 35 in Czech often see flowers as a romantic connotation, and not giving the unlucky number of 13 flowers, and not giving calla lilies because they're used at funerals. It's not completely uncommon for an American business relationship to on occasion transfer to at-home dinner because you want to become more acquainted. As discussed before, socialization is important to the citizens of the USA. Americans socialize in their homes and backyards, in restaurants, and other public places. Guidelines include arrive on time if invited to dinner, no more than 10 minutes later than to a small gathering. If it's a large party, it's acceptable to arrive 30 minutes later than invited. Table manners are more relaxed. If you feel more comfortable eating in the continental manner, go ahead, it will not offend anyone. And feel free to refuse specific foods or drinks without offering an explanation. All of these quite relaxed compared to the traditions of the Czechs, such as arrive on time, remove your shoes, expect to be treated with great honor and respect, dress modestly, and do not discuss business. Czechs separate their business and personal lives. Follow the table manners, which are continental, and remain standing until shown to your seat. The oldest woman or honored guest is usually served first. Always refuse second helpings unless the host insists. All of these actions show how formal the etiquettes and customs are in the Czech Republic, all of which transfer into the different forms of communication and business, not quite as it does in the U.S. Business etiquette and protocol varies in America, from the Czech Republic, although business dress seems to stay the same, formal. Besides the people in the West who are known to dress a bit more casual, Casual Friday is also common in many companies. High technology companies often wear casual clothes every day. When you meet someone, the handshake is the common greeting. It should be firm and confident, maintain eye contact during the greeting. In most situations, you can begin calling people by their first names. Most people will insist you call them by their nickname, if they have one. In formal circumstances, you may want to use titles and surnames as a courtesy until you're invited to move to a first name basis, which it will happen quickly. Business cards are exchanged without formal ritual. It is quite common for the recipient to put your card in their wallet, which may then go into the back pocket of their trousers. This should not be taken as an insult. Once you are in communication, you will find that Americans are direct. They value logic and linear thinking and expect people to speak clearly and in a straightforward manner. To them, if you don't tell them how it is, you're simply wasting time, and time is money. Since the Czechs are both formal and somewhat indirect in their communication, try not to be insulted by this directness. Try to get your point across quickly, and don't be afraid to be more direct and honest than you're used to. To the Czechs who are accustomed to being non-confrontational and take an indirect approach to business dealings, you will find comfort in the way Americans use, say, the telephone to conduct business, which would normally require a face-to-face meeting in some other countries. They do not insist upon seeing or getting to know the people whom they do business. When it comes to a business meeting, you should arrive on time, and punctuality are important to Americans. In the Northeast and Midwest, people are extremely punctual and view it as a sign of disrespect for someone to be late for a meeting or an appointment. In the southern and western states, people may be a little bit more relaxed, but it's best to be safe and always arrive on time, even if you may have to wait a little while before the meeting begins. This is not too different from the Czech way, and shouldn't be too difficult to adapt to. In American meetings, it may appear relaxed, but they are taken very seriously. At the conclusion of the meeting, there will be a summary of what is decided, a list of who will implement the facets, and a list of next steps to be taken and by whom. If you make a presentation, it should be direct and to the point. Just as the Czechs believe you should have charts and figures to back up your claims, Americans also believe visual aids will further enhance your case, and statistics should back up your claims. Considering Americans are very impressed by hard data and evidence. Now, when the Czechs set an initial meeting they scheduled, it's so they can get to know each other and to see if your associates believe that you're trustworthy. And it's expected to experience some small talk and getting to know your conversation before business is discussed. Unlike in America, where the emphasis on controlling time, business is conducted rapidly, and it's expected for there to be little small talk before getting down to business. It's common to attempt to reach an oral agreement at the first meeting. The emphasis is on getting a contract signed rather than building a relationship. The relationship may develop once the first contract has been signed. The relaxed and quick way of doing business greatly differs from the Czechs and is something that will need time to adapt. The Czechs try not to schedule meetings on Friday afternoons, as many Czechs leave their country cottages after lunch. This is not a common occurrence in the U.S. Just as in August many businesses close, this is also an exclusive event to the Czechs. In negotiating with the Czechs, it will take several meetings with Czech business associates for them to become familiar with you and appear comfortable and friendly. Politeness prevents many Czechs from giving an absolute no. However, statements such as, "it is difficult," or "we will see," are often negatives. Another difference that in the Czech Republic business is conducted very slowly. You tend to have to be patient and not appear ruffled by the strict adherence to protocol. Business is also Horatio. Decision-making power is held at the top of the company. Decisions are slowly reached. It may be official if the person whom you're doing business with understands the ways it checks, and if a middle ground can be found, it will be beneficial to both parties. In the end, checks often give counter offers. These traditions and ways of behavior are certainly things that would conflict with the Americans' way of business dealings. It's important to remember the differences and not be offended when they do not understand the ways you're accustomed to.